Hello everybody, my name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL Gameweek 6 Deadline stream. And it's live over the next 57 minutes or so. We'll try and get through as many of your FPL dilemmas as possible ahead of the 11 a.m. UK deadline. Firstly, let me take you through the graphics on stream. To the left of me, you'll see correct score predictions for all 10 games in this game week. Fancy City to be the highest scorers. What a surprise. To the right, at the top of the screen, you will see my team as it stands. There has been a little bit of a late change of heart from me. I'm now looking to sell Perisic before deadline, but currently he's still sitting in the team. I think I probably have to take the information that's available, and it does look like Ryan Sessegnon's going to start. I'm in the blessed position that I have him. I do have the exact money following Reece James' price drop last night to go Perisic back to Reece James. I probably need to get over the fact that I brought Perisic in for James, which is regrettable in midweek, and just fix it and go back, considering if Perisic doesn't start today and then there's Man City away next week, it seems to make sense to sell him, move him on, and get Sessegnon in for a different budget option next week. That's currently where I'm at with my thinking. You will also notice on the team, that's subject, by the way, to Liverpool team news, because if I get clear indication that Robertson or Trent aren't starting for any reason, I'll get Reece James in for one of them instead and leave Perisic. If it's Trent, I may just still leave it. I think if it's Robertson that's potentially left out, and there's no reason to think that he will be, but if that information is forthcoming, then I think Robertson to James instead would be more likely. You'll also notice on that team, I have Kevin De Bruyne as captain. That's not going to change. If you believe Erling Haaland starts, and everybody seems to have come to the conclusion that Erling Haaland is going to start, then captain him or Mo Salah would be the advice. My top 10 captaincy picks are below. You will see Salah over Kane, over De Bruyne, over Haaland. Those are your options, I think, this week. If you believe Haaland starts, if I believed Haaland started, I'd have him top. I still think there's a strong possibility that he won't, but I am in the minority, and I don't have any ITK, and I don't know shit. I just know that logically this still feels to me like the right week for the rest, and I think in Kevin De Bruyne I obviously have a competitive solution, as he was obviously benched in midweek. So I'm going to stick with KDB captain. Yes, I'd captain Kane over him. Yes, I'd captain Salah over him. And if you believe that Haaland will start, I believe you should captain Haaland over KDB. All right, I hope that's clarified. People will still fucking ask and they'll join late. Shit happens. Yes, top 10 captaincy picks in order of preference to the right of the screen. You'll also see right at the bottom of the grey ticker, next 5 fixtures for all 20 Premier League clubs. And you'll also see directly here, people like to ignore it, this is the benching dilemmas screen, where I give you a choice of 2 players. They run in order, and the player with the tick is the preferred option between those 2 players. Page 1 is on the screen for you now. Mitrovic over Trippier. These are benching options. Who would you start out of these 2 players? Mitrovic over Trippier. Trippier over Zaha. Zaha over Gross. Gross over Ward-Prowse. On to page 2. Ward-Prowse over Nico Williams. Over Neto. Over Dyer. Over Fabian Schär. Page 3, Schär over Dunk, over me, over Saliba, over Andreas Pereira. Page 4, Andreas Pereira over Dalot, over De Silva, over Cash, over Patterson. And on page 5, you will see goalkeepers. Mendy over Dean Henderson, over Sanchez, over Raya, over Ramsdale. I've not put Danny Ward on there. What's the fucking point? Danny Ward's at the end. Danny Ward's like below Neto at Bournemouth, arguably. So that's your benching dilemmas. That will continue to rotate during the stream. Right, I hope that clarifies things. So I'm highly likely, just to clarify, to make a late transfer, which is probably going to be Reece James in for Ivan Perisic. I'm going to leave it quite late in case there's some potential Liverpool team news. Right, let's get into the queues. This will be quick fire. Fantasy Billy says, morning Jimbo. Too many people asking you for advice on this stream, but not enough asking how you are. How are you doing, mate? And how have you had a nice week? I've had an awful week, personally. Although I want to tell you that my son, literally, while I was sitting in this chair, my wife has sent me a photo of my son taking a dump in the potty, which a lot of people are going to go, no, that's the first time. So this is really exciting and I've missed it. But it does mean that she gets to clear it up rather than me, which is amazing. I'm so happy. I've still got a bit of a sore throat. I feel a lot better than I have done the last few days. I started feeling really ill on the way to West Ham on Wednesday night and had the shakes a bit Wednesday night overnight into Thursday morning. But I'm fine. I'm beginning to feel better. I'm looking forward to the game today. I'm not going to go drinking today. I'm going to go to the game. I'm going to come home, taking it easy. Going to have an easy day tomorrow. And then back into the content. You know it works, Billy. But I appreciate you asking. I'm getting there. I'm beginning to feel better. The thing, I don't get sick. So when I do, I'm proper like man flu about it. Oh, poor me. But getting there, coming out at the better side of it now, I think. Andy Max says, hi James, I know you're playing Perisic, but would you swap to Trippier or Diaz for free or just hold? Have 6 million to spend and already got James. Cheers. Yeah, arguably I'd make the move to Trippier. I mean, what's influencing it for me as well is I'm looking more and more at wildcard game week 8 now as well. What I deemed in midweek was opportunity had arisen for me to get Perisic in was a problem that I'd obviously been without him and easily could have returned at West Ham, by the way. But on reflection now, I'm thinking more and more likely that I'm going to be wildcarding in 7 days and a few hours. Probably why I'm in Manchester, ironically, because I'm going to the Etihad next week, which I'll talk a bit more about. There is a small possibility there won't be a deadline stream next week, but I think I'm going to be able to squeeze it in for you. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, really, thinking about it more and more, looking at wildcard 8, which is no guarantee I'll do. It just seems to make more sense. What am I holding Perisic for if I don't think he starts? And even before Paul O'Keefe's tweet, I didn't think he was going to start today anyway. Actually, the predicted team that I did for the advanced tier patrons at 5 p.m. yesterday was very close to the team that Paul O'Keefe has tweeted. The only difference was he's got Emerson in, and I thought Doherty might get a start, and he's gone Bissouma over Højbjerg. And it doesn't mean that he's right, but he certainly has connections within the football club. No doubt about that, and we have to take that advice. Also, on the face of it as well, I think Chelsea kick clean sheet today, and I don't think Tottenham will. So when you look at that even more, it's like, get James back in, mate. If I was going forward a week and then going Perisic to someone next week, Reece James would be right near the top of my list. So why not just do it now? So that's kind of where I'm at. I think Trippier, very reasonable shout. If I wasn't looking to wildcard in 8, arguably there's a strong case to go Trippier now. So I think for those who haven't used wildcard, I think Trippier's a great get. Go and get it now before the swing. The real swing starts at 8. Palace, West Ham in the next 2 shouldn't be feared. I think Trippier's more than reasonable get. Diaz, yeah, is reasonable as well. You've got James, so I wouldn't mind that. But preference actually would be, come down to Trippier. Fancy Billy says, also, I'm locked into captain Nico Williams this week for the crack. Where do you think he would be placed in your top 100 captaincy picks? Do you know what? I discussed this on the Patreon pod yesterday. I nearly put him 10th on the captaincy list just for the crack. But then on reflection, there's people on the bench in dilemmas who I've got above him. So he would be below. That said, I mean, I'd rather play Ward-Prowse over Nico Williams just because Ward-Prowse is just sheer consistency. Returned at Molineux last year as well, for example. But then I'd probably captain Nico Williams rather than Ward-Prowse or Gross or Zaha. Maybe not Trippier or I probably would over even Mitrovic, but I wouldn't start Williams over these players. I would say realistically, arguably 25th, roughly. But I don't even hate it. I've been saying for a few weeks, well, I've certainly been saying since last Sunday when I went to Forest, that a haul is around the corner. Really, really is. And ironically, if it looked like Perisic was going to start today rather than Sessegnon, I'd have gone Sessegnon to Williams. The fear for me, of course, is like, I get the Tottenham and Perisic is in the team and not Sessegnon, and I'd be so gutted that I'm taking Perisic out. But it probably just still makes sense to try and take the information, I think. But Nico Williams, great shout. Most of you should start him this week. Most of you. There won't be many cases where I think you're struggling to start him. He's a very good option this week. Lee Thompson says, hi James, which 2 would you start out of this? Stupinan, Nico Williams, Perisic, Dewsbury Hall? Definitely Nico Williams, I think. Arguably still Perisic, mate. Yeah, arguably. Despite tipping Brighton for a clean sheet, I don't think it's guaranteed that Estupiñán plays. I'd have no hopes for a Dewsbury Hall return. So arguably still Perisic. Estupiñán would be my predicted Brighton team, but I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't start tomorrow. Therefore, I would arguably still go Perisic. Hello, Stammer says, hello, James. Good luck, everybody. Good luck to you too, mate. Matthew says, hi, James. I'm currently starting Nico and Gibbs White, but I don't fancy the double up. Would you -4 and bring James back in? If so, who would you bench out of Nico and Morgan Gibbs White? I played them both. You're looking for a -4 because you don't want 2 Nottingham Forest players. At home to Bournemouth. Great differential for you this week, mate. I'd go with it. FPL Invincible says, good morning, James. Do you think it's feasible to sell Cucurella to James or Trippier or save the transfer? I know there's a bit of theory. I said theory. I can't think of the word. Worry. I need a better word than worry. A bit of worry about a Ben Chilwell Instagram post where he'd said ready for tomorrow, which he doesn't normally do. And people reading into it that Ben Chilwell might start. I don't think it's impossible that Cucurella might play left-sided centre-back. James is a clear upgrade. Is it worth the $1 million to force it about? Not convinced. What have you got on your bench? Are you comfortable with what's on your bench? How badly do you want James? Do you really want to keep Cucurella longer term? Answer those questions and I think you'll find your answer, mate. Miena Sidom says, hello, James. Wildcard this week. Would you go James with a 6.3 million midfielder, not Gross or Martinelli? Or Bernardo Silva with a 5.4 defender? Good luck in your game week. I'd go to James option, mate. Good luck, pal. Sam Jones says, Perisic to Trippier or Robertson to James. Both potentially reasonable. I don't really want to get rid of Robertson ahead of these two. It just works out nicely to move on, I think, in 8, if that's when I'm going to wildcard. And I'm not saying I definitely am. That's just the way I'm leaning. I'm obviously going to think about that really hard this week because I will activate once the deadline's gone next Saturday night. Emily Sissoni says, hey, James, who would you go Cucurella to? James or Trippier? And also, would you play Walker or Nico Williams? I think, look, if you can get to James, would generally be my advice. That's where I'd be at with it. By the way, now we're in stream patrons. Obviously, any news on Liverpool particularly, or anything that's credible in the next 45 minutes, do tag me on Slack. And obviously, I'll have a look through that and share that information. Tim Kresner says, hi, mate. Hope you're feeling better. Would you start Rico Henry ahead of either Martinelli or Nico Williams? No, probably not. I do fancy Brentford for a clean sheet today as well, but no, probably not. Miyank says, hi, James. Perisic to Nico Williams. Question, will free up money and move to Mitrovic next week. Have Henderson already, though. Don't hate it. I think if you end up with the 2 and you've already wildcarded, you're possibly thinking quite short term, but you could make a case that Forest have a decent run, sort of up to game week 13. Certainly the next 3 are very attractive. I don't hate it. There's a case to say leave the money and maybe go Williams for the 2 and go back for Perisic in 8. Might be a different way of looking at it, but yeah, I don't hate the move. It must be stressed that with the Paul O'Keefe prediction, if there was a week it's going to be wrong, it's more likely to be this. Because his predictions so far have been logical. I know that he has contacts within the club. I'm sure someone at the club is probably aware that he's been tweeting stuff. It's going to get traction soon. There's too many FPL heads keep replying and asking him for information and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a spanner in the works today, like he's put Basuma in the team rather than Højbjerg. I wouldn't be surprised if that's wrong, for example, as a little, it was close. Do you know what I mean? That's my feeling on it at the moment. Højbjerg got injured late in the first half on Wednesday night and went down a minute or 2 into the second half and soldiered on through the game and clearly wasn't right. So I wouldn't be surprised if Højbjerg doesn't start today. It's not obviously relevant from an FPL perspective as such. I don't mind the Williams move, to be honest, Mayank. The chances are that the information is probably correct. I'd like to give a shout out to Jordan, FPL Bucket Man, who says he can finally make a deadline stream. Hello, mate. Welcome. I hope you're well, mate. Jason says, play Williams or Gabriel. You can go Williams this week. Ayub says, hi, James. Don't you think that Spurs switching to 4-2-1-3 will be better playing Decky as a 10 behind Kane, Son and Richarlison? That will solve the creativity issues. No. Conte teams look terrible in a back four. That's it. This is the thing. Like, people being really critical of Emerson Royal's performance in the week, and I thought his performance was fine again, because everybody only wants to judge what it looks like going forward. What about defensively? Ibrahim M says, morning, James. Worth trying to guess which City fullback is going to be rested. Have both and said to Walker to Nico Williams. Again, I don't mind that move. My best guess, I've got Walker and Cancelo in my predicted City team. Again, to be honest. So, FPL Planner says, I did tip Gomez to start in midweek. I'm not convinced that will happen today. Ibrahim M says, morning, James. Worth trying to... that's what we've done. FPL Planner says, hi, James. With one free transfer, would you take a hit to sell Perisic and Greenwood to Nico Williams and Mitrovic for -4? Would you play sensibly and get James or Trippier? And if so, which of the two would you pick? Thanks. I feel like we've covered this now. So, yeah, I'd go the sensible route. And I think if you can get to James, go to James. Declan Burns says, hi, James. Thinking of doing Robertson and Harrison to Diaz. Maximum 4.6 defender. Worth doing, and thoughts on which defender? It's going to be a no. You're not clear in your mind, so I wouldn't bother. If you don't have Nico Williams, as honestly who I'd advise underneath that valuation at the moment for this particular week and the next couple. Adam Lewis says, morning, James. Which would you prefer, Rodrigo out for Sancho or Rodrigo out for Gross? I have the funds. Will be using my wildcard game week 8 if that helps decision making. Everyone leave a like. Desperate to have Sancho for Arsenal at home, Palace away. Gross got Leicester at home, Bournemouth away. I'm a fixture head, Adam, so I'm going to say Gross. Arguably playing two of the worst defensive teams. So I think it's gross if you think you're wildcard in game week 8. And thank you, Adam. Yes, it would be great if everyone left a like. Let's see how many likes have we got on the stream so far. Not even 100. Bad times, man. Bad times. Victor Sandberg, smash a like. Victor Sandberg says, best defender for the coming 2 game weeks, under 5 million. Nico Williams. Every chance. That's probably the answer. Don't mind Rico Henry. I mean, probably is Nico Williams, to be totally honest. We'll throw a random name out there. Bella Kochop. You're not going to buy a Southampton player, are you? Carl Walker-Peters. You're not going to do that. Joshua Nye says, good morning from Florida. Thanks for the great content. Should I sell Perisic and buy James? Leave it half hour like me. Pete Haley says, hi, James. I have Ward and I'm thinking of getting rid, but would have to drop Perisic or James down to a Trippier or lower. Is it worth the downgrade just to get a keeper? Probably yes. But on that game week 8 wildcard, I might even go to the Leicester double up. It walks into Tottenham, which is obviously not good. But then fixtures afterwards, there could be some cleans there, even for Leicester. Particularly if they've changed manager, which I think is incoming, possibly. Yeah, do it, mate. Trips in. Jordan, there's Jordan. Jordan Bellaby says, morning, James. Leeds are massive. Hope you have a good weekend. So massive you drew at home to Everton, mate. Class. Roseanne Fleur, have a good weekend too. Roseanne Fleur says, more pay in for Watkins and Nico Williams captain. Amazing, mate. Roseanne, I've missed you, mate. Jonathan Comber says, Tony to Isak or still too early, do you think, James? Heard any news on St. Maximin injury? Hope you have a good weekend, mate. No word on St. Maximin injury. My instinct is probably won't be risked. I think Gomeres will play today. St. Maximin just he's not a player you really want to take a chance with, I think. I don't know. It might be a sub, maybe. If you ask me to be a gambling man, that would be my prediction today. Tony to Isak. Not yet for me. Not yet. I think Isak will play. Not yet. What did we buy Tony for? Different. Last 2 games, post against Everton. He put one on a plate for Henry at Palace the other night. His performance was okay. Frustrated figure for a lot of the game. I think the distances between him and others were a bit too big. But actually, in games against teams not like Palace, that will suit him more. Anderson and Gahey can be quite touch tight. Whereas sort of Leeds and Southampton may not be so much in the next 2. I think I'd leave it. I'd stick with Tony. I'd give him a couple more, I think. Florence in P says, who to bench, Martinelli or Williams? I just wouldn't want to leave Martinelli out at the moment, to be totally honest. I'd still play Martinelli. Reese Kemp says, into my 15th season of FPL, any tips to spice it up and keep it interesting? Yeah. Start selling players from the big five and start buying players from originally Newcastle. You've been playing 15 years. You're a better manager than me, I'm sure. FPL Finding Glory says, good morning, James. Get Kane or Darwin as part of a free transfer. Already have Jesus and Haaland all roll and keep Mbumo. Yeah, Mbumo I'm not keen on with this system that they're playing now as such. We've spoken about it a lot. The back four's better for Tony. The back three's better for Mbumo. He's back four at the moment. Doesn't mean it won't change again. But yeah, that's not so great for Mbumo in my opinion. Kane, if you think you're not going to have problems next week, and you could always downgrade that back to Darwin next week, but then do you want to once Liverpool come into that run of fixtures after Wolves? But I think Harry, yeah, I'm not keen on that setup, but to be honest, I'm even thinking myself for the wildcard 8, should I just go Haaland and Kane and not have a premium midfielder? I just hate it if it suddenly looks like I've got to have Salah, De Bruyne, Son. Still got Sterling, Fernandes. There are options there which might not be right in front of our face right now. I think I'd still want to be near one of them, I think, personally. So, yeah, I'm not keen on if that's taking out your premium mid. If you've still got it, fine, Kane. Eshan says, hi, James. Best Perisic replacement is Stupinan, have Sanchez, Nico Williams, Trippier, or someone else. I'm going to say Trips, mate. FPL Sponge says, thoughts on Cucurella as an FPL asset? Fofana coming in likely to strengthen Chelsea defence. Would you avoid bar James on the train to the City ground for the Cherries away? Good luck. Enjoy the trip, mate. Love Nottingham. Question is, once Fofana's in, would you rather save the money on to go Fofana rather than Cucurella? I mean, that could be my option for me next week's session onto Fofana. I think if Fofana plays for Chelsea, and I think he probably will play for Chelsea today, for example, might be my option rather than Ben White might be an option, because I'll be looking just for the 1 week, arguably next week possibly. Yeah, he's reasonable. But I think the thing is with the big 4 teams that are in the Champions League, the rotations come in now, and could he end up at left-sided centre-back quite a bit? I don't know. I mean, it seems decent to me. Would I buy him as new? No, he wouldn't be on my radar at this minute. I don't think I'd be in a rush to sell either. Cog says, morning, James. 2 free transfers. Not happy with double Liverpool defence and concerned about Robertson only having 1 times 90-minute games so far. So thinking Robertson to Saliba, which allows the upgrade of Greenwood to Mitrovic. I wouldn't rush it. Let's be really honest about this. Mitrovic could score today, he could score next week. But the reality is he's Tottenham away and Chelsea at home. It's 2 tough fixtures. What do we really expect from Mitrovic? And he scored twice against Liverpool. Yeah, there's a case to say that actually it's more difficult to hurt Tottenham and Chelsea than it is to hurt Liverpool, actually. So I wouldn't be rushing to get him in, mate. I wouldn't be rushing to do that personally. Divash says, with all the uncertainty of Haaland's minutes and Salah not performing to his best, punt on captaincy against Leicester have been terrible defensively with Gross. Nah, I can't be having that. I'd rather captain Nico Williams, I think. Andras Yames says, Rodrigo to Gross, Trossard, Aronson or Harrison. Which one is the best for the next 3? If it were me and the money's not a problem and think about future moves, Trossard for me. Andras Yames says, that's what we've done. FPL Irons wasn't good yesterday on the main podcast. What a performance. Says, is there any defender you take a -4 for Perisic? Not sure if your Perisic to James move is just a free transfer. It would be a free transfer, Luke. Yeah, I've not done anything this week. So it would be a free transfer. Would I do it for a -4? Nah, probably not, mate. That was a mistake where I went to Perisic in midweek. You could say it's a little bit kind of outcome focused. Plus, I was in a position where he had doubts about other players like Sessignon and stuff, and I was looking at, I might be down to 9 players here this week. KDB came off the bench and stuff in midweek. I haven't got that kind of fear this week. So kind of being in a position, right, as I said, an opportunity's there to get Perisic, get him. But yeah, it was FOMO on wanting him. It was a mistake. It was a mistake forced because I knew in my mind that it was played West Ham it probably wouldn't start against Fulham. That was my principal thinking. So, but it was like, I'll deal with it now. And I did know I could go back to James, but then in hindsight, was it worth a -4? Nah. Then if he'd hauled, it wasn't it? So, there you go. Lesson learned. Immortal Technique says, good morning all. Robbo, Walker or Cucurella out for James. Thanks, James. I wouldn't want to get rid of Robertson for these next two, unless something comes up in the next half hour that indicates that he's not going to start. FPL Finding Glory says, people like the stream, please. It's free, good exercise for your thumb. It is true. It's free content. Doesn't cost anything to press that button. Probably should press it, really, in all seriousness. Tanner says, good afternoon, James from Perth, Western Australia. No questions from me. Just best of luck for this game week. Have fun with those questions regarding Perisic. Oh, the wife's sending me her team. Yeah, like that. Decent. She's fucking bought. Captain? Yeah, as you are, yeah. Stick with Mo. I've told her to buy Haaland. Fucking imagine if I tell her to captain him and he don't start. Fucking, it's me in the doghouse not feeling well. I can't take it. I'm not giving you bad info. I mean, if you want real info, watch the fucking stream, innit? Andras Yames says, you could just open the door and watch it live, in fairness. Andras Yames says, also, who do you think is the better player right now, Son or Vinicius Jr.? Oh, that's random. I'll stick with my boy, Sonny. Ray Koreshi says, hi, James. Straight shootout with James versus Trippier from game week 6 to 8. There's likely wildcarding in game week 9. Who would you select? So we're including game week 8. Trips. Yeah, that final fixture of Trips versus Bournemouth and James versus Liverpool gives him a little swing, I think, with the million saving. So, Trips. Rasmus Anderson says, good morning, mate. I've planned to get Isak this week. Would you do a 1 week punt on Alvarez and get Isak next week instead? No. I'd probably just go that way, mate. I'd just go that way. I think Alvarez starts. That's my instinct. I mean, I obviously do because I think Haaland isn't going to start personally. Please don't take that as gospel. For those joining late, like honestly, if you think Haaland starts, captain him, like crack on, get on with it. It's just my opinion, and most people disagree with that opinion. Yeah, I just get him in, mate. Drav Garodia says, have Rodrigo and Perisic and 1 free. Need to get rid of both. Thinking about going with Trossard and Diaz of Manchester City. Any suggestions or advice? Thanks as always for the amazing content. I'm still not keen on the Brighton offensive, but I think that there's a couple of games there where you can punt it quick. There's still time. Leicester at home, Bournemouth away. Palace at home's not likely to be a high scoring game. But you can get him in the 2. Yeah, I don't mind it. I'd probably get on with it. Ryan Renfrey says, hi James, thanks for the content. As always, 2 free transfers. Salah to Sterling and Archer to Isak. Worth it. Haaland captain. Also bench boost then of Ward, Martinelli, Henry and Andreas Pereira. Thanks, mate. No, I'm just looking at that logically. That bench you've got, and if you really, really want a bench boost soon, I'd just look at that and question if that looks better next week. Like you put Martinelli in the team. What's on the bench instead? Does that look even better next week? No, I think principally the correct advice would be stay with Mo for the minute. Shahid Hussain says, morning James. Is Saliba to Nico a decent transfer given Forest fixture swings? Got 1 free transfer. I think Nico could finally get attacking returns on wildcard international break. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's decent. It's decent. You'd nick the value from Saliba. I don't think he's probably got a ceiling of sort of 4.9ish, I think, with the fixtures that are coming up. You nicked a little bit of profit. I don't mind it. Michael English says, hi James, hope you're well. 2 free transfers. Should I do Robertson and Neto to Williams and Gundogan, or Perisic and Neto to Williams and Gross? Prefer the second option, mate. I'd still be part tempted to give Neto 1 more, but then he's got to go. And if you face other problems, it could be a struggle. So probably prefer the second option. Daniel Evans says, thoughts on Isak as a third striker? Certainly penciled in my mind for that 8 wild card as it stands. Daniel Evans, that's what we've done. Thank you, mate. Remy Rodriguez says, Ronaldo, Rodrigo Moreno to Neil Maupay and Bowen. I don't think Maupay even starts. Everton's next 2 fixtures are Liverpool at home and Arsenal away. I'd rather you went Solanke than Neil Maupay, mate, to tell you the truth. Ronaldo, he's got to go, though. It's fairly clear. And Bowen, I wouldn't be rushing to it. Chelsea away and Newcastle at home. Nah, there are different options here for you, mate. Ragav says, best defender punt for game week 7, 4.5 million or less. Well, this is the exact position I might be in. It could be Fofana. Ben White, maybe. Rico Henry, maybe. Estupinan, maybe. There's a number. You don't have to make that decision now, do you? Patrick Lawson says Trippier a good option now. Trippier's always been a good option, mate. Ketan Chopra says Robertson, Cucurella, Nico or Trippier. Whom to bench? From that lot, Jesus Christ. I'm going to say it. Find a different solution. In all seriousness, from that, wow. Probably Williams. Jay says, with Mo Salah off form and Haaland possibly benched, is Harry Kane possibly the best differential captain? Yeah, he's the best differential captain, yeah. Ter Okosong says, start Robertson or Nico. Always Robertson, mate. Whoop-de-whoop, Fancy Alvarez might be seriously worth it. Zaris says, I took Rodrigo last week. What do you think is the best at 6.5 to replace him? Is triple Brighton too much? 2 defenders and 1 of Gross Trossard. I'm waiting for you next summer to Greece. I'm hoping to go to Turkey next June. The champions. Not that hopeful, though. I'd go Gibbs White. I tweeted it last night. That would, if I had Rodrigo, that's where I'd be going. I think if I already had Martinelli and stuff, I think I would punt Gibbs White for the next couple. Mike Klassen says, big up, James. Hope you have a good week. Can you Spurs? You too, mate. Colin Con says, cheers for the great content. Bench Cucurella on Nico. I'm leaning Nico. Is that crazy? Just kind of covered with a previous question. It's probably the same. P. Macca says, Morn James kills me to sell Perisic, but bought James in for him. Feeling similar, mate. Alex Allegretto says, morning, James. Have a great game week. You too, mate. Tag says, morning, James. What do you think of Perisic, Kyle Walker-Peters? Not in love, to be totally honest. Not in love. Never a team you fancy for clean sheets. It is a short-term one. I think over that short-term one, there are options, for Fofana. I know that's a boring pick, but that looks better, even with probably Liverpool in 8. I've mentioned others as potential for next week's and stuff. I wouldn't be keen. You want to be hero, go for it, mate. Whoop-de-whoop says Chelsea about to start a long clean sheet run. 3 Chelsea defenders is worth every risk. Start your own deadline stream, mate. Carl Bugler says, hi James, can you please let us know your opinion on Paulinho on the next pod after you've seen him? Still can't believe someone of that quality has come to Fulham. I think he's outstanding. But yes, I certainly can do, because I'll get to see him live and in the flesh today. I assume he will start. So yes, I will have an eye on him. I own him in Sky Fantasy, so he's a player that will be on radar for me anyway. Amazing stride in terms of his tackling ability and stuff. Good ball player, good range of passing. Yeah, he's a super signing. I'd say at this point, on what I've seen so far, one of the best signings of the window that's facilitating a lot of good that Fulham are doing. Colm Bugler says, that's what we've done. Thanks, Colm. George Hepburn says, can you let me know your thoughts behind playing both Spurs players, even ITK knowledge? I've covered this a couple of times, George. I'm planning to sell Perisic for James unless there is some Liverpool news in the next 15 minutes or so. I don't have anything for the patrons on stream. As said, if you've got anything, tag me. There is no information worth sharing at this moment in time. Maninda says, didn't catch your thoughts on best Sky captains yesterday on Patreon pods unless I blanked it out. No, I didn't cover it, to be honest. I'm going Salah today in Sky, as long as he's in the team. I think there's the benefit of seeing the team, and it's close enough that I think just go with that. Tomorrow, I'm probably just going to go with Jesus, I think. Just checking DMs, guys, just to double check in case I've potentially got anything that might be of interest. The answer does look like it's no. other than people sending me message requests while I'm doing a deadline stream. When will these people learn? I'm not even going to look at your message. I don't mean that horribly. Oh, should I do Perisic to this, da-da-da-da-da-da? I'm literally just going to delete the messages. Dixie Normaz says, good morning, James. I've had a mare over the last few weeks. Got De Bruyne in Haaland 2 weeks ago. Reverse it or risk it for a few weeks. Keeping De Bruyne. I already have Salah. Thanks, pal. Personally, if it was me, I'd be working on the plan on how I was going to get Erling Haaland into my team for next week. That's what I'd be doing right now. Most people will tell you, like Luke said on the stream, on the podcast yesterday, just get him in. Most people's advice will be, just get him in. If it was me, personally, I believe I could run an extra week. Sam C, Sky FF, not FPL, sorry, Sky Captain today. Just literally covered that, Sam, but thank you very much for your question. Pravesh says, hello, James. Who's good replacement for Ramsdale? Anyone. I went to Sanchez in midweek. I think that's reasonable. Timing probably back on for Raya with a home fixture this week. Now it's, rather than in midweek, it was 2 of the next 6 are at home. You can now look at it and make the argument 2 of the next 3 are at home. And if you still got that wild card in hand, there's a case to say Raya actually over Sanchez. Longer term, I think probably Sanchez. Who's next? Monkey Peel says Perisic to Nico Williams or play Gabriel instead. I'd arguably make the move. Rich T says Southampton next 4. Wolves, Brentford, Villa, Everton seems good. Is it worth punting the defender? If so, who is best choice? Walker Peters after I say no. Dynamite Don says, g'day James, Zaha or Harrison? Wilf for me, mate. John Cale says, morning James, that's a lovely prediction for someone with Dean, Hendo and Williams double Forest defence. Have a great game week, mate. Good luck. Shin Sakai says, hi James. First, I want to thank you for the great content. I have a small benching dilemma between Walker, who is a doubt, Nico Williams and Veltman. Thanks. Is Walker a doubt? News to me if he is. I'm not saying he's not, but I've missed that if he is, to be totally honest. Is that one of them FPL we don't know why the flags are there kind of things? I'd play Walker first, and then this week I'd go Williams over Veltman. Lincoln Begg says Nico or Cucurella on field. I'm going to say Cucurella, be consistent. Ben Costin says, who would you bench out of Saliba or Periodic? Periodic has not been signed by anyone in this transfer window, mate. I would probably play Saliba. I'd say that very reluctantly. Alan says, what do you think about Rodrigo to Lingard? Don't hate it, but I'd rather Gibbs White. Edwin Guan says, start Nico or Estupinan. Thanks, James. I'd go Nico. Sebo Slices, all the best. Jamesy boy, start Estupinan or Dunk. Leicester's still shy at set pieces. Oh, yeah, go Dunk, mate. Gareth Bennett, is Reece James starting? I literally see no reason why he wouldn't. Dynamite Dons, could you go without any City defenders? Of course you can. You can play this game a million different ways, mate. I don't deal with the whole essential gig. Even Haaland. It's not essential, mate. Won't have it. There's loads of ways to play this game. Raghav Sud says, bring Tony in or Mitrovic for next 2-3 weeks. 2, Tony. 3, arguably Mitrovic. Dusty says, Cucurella or Nico. Cucurella. Ian says, evening from Melbourne, Australia. Good luck for the game week, James. I'm still 50-50 captain Haaland Salah. What's your 3 favourite North London derby wins and how good was that Gaza free kick in 91 semi? Well, that'll be in there. The 5-1 League Cup semi in 2008. Let me pick a league game. What would be the favourite one as a league game? Kind of want to say the 3-2 win at the Emirates, but I wasn't there. I was in the pub. Home game. Arguably the last one, atmosphere was off the charts and we were just so much more dominant than them, so much better in every department. Beat them 2-0. 95-96 one, we won 2-1. Chris Armstrong, they battered us for 20 minutes and we recovered. We were far inferior to them. 99-2000, beat them 2-1. The 2-1 in 09-10 was massive when we were trying to get in the top 4 for the first time. When Danny Rose scored the volley and Gareth Bale scored. Probably that one because it was absolutely crucial. So probably that one. And of course last year has to be up there in terms of the 3-0 as well. So there's a few for you. Martin Taylor says, tempted to replace Salah with De Bruyne and captain. Is this mad? Love your content, mate. Nothing's mad, mate. That's not mad. I wouldn't do it. Toby Evanson says, hi James, which player at Spurs do you wish had been a success but never hit the levels you hoped they would? Marcus Edwards. Any patrons listen to the Spurs would hope could probably tell you that, mate. More high profile players, people like Rebroff. Like, why didn't it work? Freddie Canute, I loved Freddie. I still found Martin Joel's selling of him unfathomable. Replaced him with fucking Raziak. I mean, my God. Jonathan says, hi mate, would you move Saka on? Just want your opinion on it. Already have Gross, Martinelli and Saka. Good luck. Yeah, I'd be thinking about it, just in the sense that I'd rather have Jesus and Martinelli, but can you manoeuvre it? Can you manoeuvre it where you sell Saka this week, go to Jesus next week, that sort of thing? Mind you, by that point, do you even want to go there with the fixtures possibly becoming a bit more difficult after Everton? P. Macca, you and Serge and everyone on here have a good game week. Ace, cheers mate. Oasis says, would you take Ramsdale out, and if so, for Pope or Sanchez? Yeah, I don't mind the Pope shout, actually. Sanchez. I'd rather save the money and have trips, I think. John P says, bench Williams or Saliba. Bench Saliba. JT says, morning, James. Still have Ward at Everson. My only route to Sanchez is downgrading Robertson. Very reluctant due to his fixtures in the next two. Thoughts? Yeah, similar opinion. I probably wouldn't do it. Canojan says, who'd start Nico Williams, Cucurella? This is a popular one, isn't it? I've only answered this one about 30 times. Literally, look, another one. Look, Williams or Amundsen. I'm fucking busy, mate. Delete. I just don't get people. I'm sure that people would message that. I'm sure they'll just DM that to about 10, 15 people. My DMs are open for people who not to ask me last minute FPL advice, honestly. I've got nothing that's anything concrete, particularly on Liverpool at the moment. So I'm not gonna leave this till like 10:59 and make the move. I don't like doing that. I'll leave it till a couple of minutes before, I think. P. Macca, you and Serge, I've done that one. JP, Paul O'Keefe predicted your thing. Yeah, last night, mate. Pranav says, any news and thoughts on Willian? I wouldn't expect him to start. Experienced signing for Fulham, decent. John Cahill says, hi James, would you start a 90-minute Andreas Pereira or sub-appearance for Perisic this week? To start Perisic is the honest truth for that. Jananga 77 on wildcard currently, KDB and Haaland. KDB cap, Zaha in. Bloody hell, so much going on here, mate. Mitro bench for now. No Liverpool attack. We'll cap Arsenal playing next week anyways. Then looking, mate, I've lost the will to live, but I wish you luck, mate. Ben Eddington says, morning, mate. Hit a like, people. Thanks, Ben. Josh Challenge says, morning, James. 2 free transfers. Would you go Rodrigo to Gross for 1 free transfer and roll the second transfer, or Perisic to Trippier to fund Rodrigo to Trossard with the 2 FTs? I like the second option, mate. Dan Sheffield says, is there any news on Ramsdale? Do I take a -4 to get Edison or Sanchez? Have Ward as my backup? Wouldn't take a -4, mate. I would expect him most likely to start, would be my take. MJ says, bench Martinelli for Nico Williams or Dunk. That's a no for me. Josh 14X says, praying for a KDB haul tonight. Sebo Slices, how do I get your Sky Planner, James? On Slack, for James Planner channel, on our Slack, on Patreon. You can join from basic tier. FPL Nick says, hi James, play Nico or Martinelli. Rudy says, start 2 of these. Perisic, Nico Williams, Fofana and Mitrovic and Williams. God. James says, hi James, Isak or Tony on a wild card? Thanks. Wild card Isak. Prince 254, Ward Sanchez, who to put in my goalkeeper? Is that a real question, mate? Everyone else can answer that for you. Please don't. He should know the answer. Have a look at my correct score predictions. You'll find your answer. Sam Moren says, hi James, good luck this week. What do you think of Ward Prowse for the next 3 game weeks? Yeah, but with JWP fixtures not so relevant, to be totally honest. He can return at any time because of his set piece duty. Andrew Jarvis says, not able to watch this week. Best of luck for the game week, James. Like the stream, everyone. Thanks, Jarvo. Josh 14X says, my current team has Walker first sub and a transfer ready to burn. Should I transfer him out for Trippier, thinking about 7 and 8? We worried about playing Walker out into Tottenham. No, I wouldn't particularly. Man City defender, start him. That would always be my advice. Emily Sissoni says, thanks for answering my first question. I was just wondering who you would start out of Walker and Nico Williams, already have Cancelo starting, so it will be double City defence. Then there's an advantage for you. I'd go to double City defence. Raymond Reddington to start Perisic or Cucurella. It's got to be Cucurella at this stage, isn't it? I think. Lincoln Begg says, hi James, how are you, mate? Start Nico Williams or Cucurella. Already starting Reece James. I've done this 100 times. 3-5 Who, our Arsenal correspondent says, morning James, what do you think Chelsea's best team is now after the transfer window, and how many Premier League goals do you think Aubameyang will score? Mendy, Fofana, Silva, Koulibaly, James, Kovacic, Kante, Cucurella, Mount, Sterling, Obama blank, 4 Premier League goals. Jamie, he's picked up the 9. It's cursed, mate. Jamie Gofro says, start 2. Dunk, Martinelli, Harrison, Jesus, the Arsenal players, mate. Pete Haley, all right, mate. Best keeper for the next few weeks apart from Sanchez. I have Dunk and not keen on the double up. Raya, Pope, there's 2 at different prices for you. George Baker says, hi James, which one to bench out of Robertson, Nico Williams, Morgan, Gibbs, White and Martinelli? Definitely Ben White out of that. Oh God, the rest is tough. Probably Gibbs White. Lee Thompson says, James, for a -4, worth it. Can't remember what your question was, Lee. Sorry, mate. SC, what a surprise. I'm predating you over Let's Talk FPL, how you have grown on me. Like it, man. I don't grow on anyone, do I, mate? Andy's still the king of this network, mate, and I won't be told differently, mate. But I appreciate it. AG Ango says, start Nico or Perisic. Looks like it's Nico at the moment, doesn't it? Durgash says, Rodrigo or Harrison or Cancelo to James. I wouldn't say Cancelo, mate. Can't bother to read the rest. John Mensa says, Ramsdale, Cucurella and Jensen for Sanchez, Trippier and Gross for -4. Don't hate that, actually. Dale Vakiria says, hey James, would you do Perisic for a Stupinan? What do you mean a Stupinan in for Perisic? No, I wouldn't. Matt Bickerton says, hi James, 2 free transfers. Son needs to go. Ideally for Salah. Do I downgrade TAA to James or Perisic to Tomiyasu to fund it? Or do I take a punt on Sterling and upgrade Perisic to Cancelo instead? Jesus Christ, mate. Can you get Son to De Bruyne? Might be a solution. I don't know where Tomiyasu is the option at the moment. Like, he's not first choice for Arsenal right now. So if you were going to do that, I'd arguably rather you took the punt to go for Fofana straight away. Aaron says, am I mad to bench Jesus for Nico this weekend? Nothing's mad, mate, but I wouldn't do it. SC says, Tony to Undev. Yeah, like, why, mate? Like, Welbeck will start tomorrow. Matthew says, morning, James. What's your opinion on having Alvarez as a third City asset to set up and forget up top that Dynamite can play across the attack and likely could return even from 20 minutes? Need to see more than a performance against Nottingham Forest for me, personally. Ryan Walker says, no other issues. Do I do Perisic to James? Currently, I'm benching Gabriel for Nico too. Also playing TA and Cancelo. I'm set to make the move, mate. So arguably the answer to your question is yes. Just having a second look, or a 10th look rather, on any potential DMs for Liverpool news. I have nothing. Patrons on the case for us, please. Alan Mott Daddy, hi James, double Chelsea defence and no. No, I don't hate it, but how are you going to feel when you get to Liverpool in Game Week 8? James Nelson says, hi James, love yesterday's pod with Irons, thank you. Is Diaz to Sterling a nice punt? I have Salah and TAA, but thinking I may move away from triple Liverpool ahead of tougher fixtures following Wolves. Yeah, I think most of us would probably be thinking to move away from that. I wouldn't be rushing it, mate. I'd keep Diaz, playing fucking Everton, mate. Alexander says, hi James, Perisic out for Zanka and Archer out for Alvarez. Crazy or worth possible upgrade. Would not go to Zanka, mate. I would expect Pontus Jansson to come back into the Brentford team today. Callum says, bench 1, Nico Williams, Walker, Gross, Martinelli. Bloody hell. Nico Williams. Josh says, hi mate, keep Gundogan for this week or transferring Luis Diaz. Keep. Sound money. Start Dunk or Aronson. I'd probably be in the minority, but I'd go Dunk actually. Matthew Hogburn, hello James, Sky Captain today, have a good weekend. I've covered it, it'll be Salah if he's in the team. FPL Glasser says, cheers for all your work, good luck, hope you're fit, glad you're feeling better, thank you mate. Oil Rose says, start Perisic or Nico Williams. I think it's got to be Williams, done this loads of times. Craig Gemp, wildcarding soon. 2 free transfers, thoughts on Cancelo and Eze to Nico and Foden. Wouldn't sell Cancelo. John J, would you trade out Robbo to get off pool defence double if you didn't have the Perisic issue and had James already? No. I'd want to keep Robertson for the next 2, as long as I'm comfortable that he's going to play, which I am at the moment. Russell Baker says, thoughts on one Premier pick on a wild card on Gameweek 8-9. Might cause a benching headache, but goof for rotation. One Premier pick? Do you mean a premium player? Haaland, for fuck's sake. Shane Roberts says, have I missed something? Why are people trying to ditch Perisic ahead of Fulham? We don't think he's going to start. Doesn't mean he won't, but we don't think he's going to start. Sharif Gabba says, hi mate, start. And to be honest, that would have been my opinion without no Paul O'Keefe information. But I probably would have kept him without that tweet, is the reality. Hayne Wynn says, Trossard captain, what do you think, James? Can't be having that, mate. How Mandeep Sidhu, Nico or Neto? Nico, mate. Sheriff says, hi mate, start Neto or Walker, the Man City player, mate. Teddy says, hi James, thinking of benching one between Saliba and Martinelli for Nico Williams. Thoughts? Saliba. Answer, Phillips start Cucurella or Rashford this week. You got Rashford starting, mate. Hamad says, Perisic to Williams, Trippier, James, Ramsdale to Sanchez, Pope, 2 free transfers. James, and then probably what's affordable. Andreas says, dilemma, bench 1, Martinelli, Williams or Dunk. It's probably Williams again, mate. Fuck it, I'd bench Dunk. Hamad says, all the best from Qatar. Good luck, mate. Cole Miller says, smash the like, everyone. Thanks, James, as always. Start Martinelli or Aronson this week. I'd go Martinelli. Russell Baker says, ha. Spud says, who do you bench here? Perisic, Nico, Fofana. It's probably Perisic at the moment. Jerkoff, I don't know if I've been over there. Is Ramsdale playing? I don't know, mate. Adam's a piece of string. I expect he will. Adele says, Perisic to Trippier for -4. Not sure I'd take the hit. Sam Jones says, hi James, who do you think is currently a better player, Son or Carlos Vinicius? Once was a fuck enough, mate. Cheers though. Daniel Scar says, is double Newcastle defence, Pope and Trippier a viable setup for the next few weeks? Don't mind that. Christian Lindstrom says, any news come out in England? Darwin Núñez? No, got nothing on Liverpool to share at this stage as yet. And I'm obviously finger on the kind of confirmed transfer position at this point. Does help if I go to transfers rather than subs, doesn't it? More transfers. Remove player. Select replacement. Alright. James ready to go in for Perisic and ready to make the transfer. Ian Dennis, Perisic to Nico and Longstaff to Gross. Would you use a wild card to wipe out an 8-point hit? Already take Perisic to Nico and Longstaff to Gross. How the fuck you got Longstaff? Would you wild? No, I would not wild card. Not at this stage, mate. If 5 minutes before deadline, you don't know what you're doing. Thank you, Tim Kresner. I appreciate that message. Cheers, mate. That can happen. I'm well aware, mate. I have got my eyes on the clock. Ian Dennis says, Perisic to Nico. That's what we've done. Bandidos. Luis Diaz minutes at risk now that Jota Darwin is back. Well, it's going to become that way, but I expect him to start today. Justice, thoughts on Robbo to Reece James. I wouldn't be keen to do it right now, personally. Spud Mastros, I would say yes, Ian. Tag the people if you're replying, Spud. Appreciate that. Ollie Rose says, hi, James. Big question. Will you miss Reg or his Mrs. Moore? Are you talking about Region? His other half's she's a good looking girl, isn't she? Neither. Don't know what to say to that. Ali Pax Hand says, hi James, Nairobi guys are locked in. Is Rodrigo to Bernardo a good move? Thank you. Honestly, Rodrigo, I'd come down to Gibbs White personally. We went through this with Bernardo last year, mate. I'm not keen. Yazid says, I transfer Nico in. Congratulations. Ahmed says, best bench Dunk or Martinelli. I'm going to say Dunk. Kean Lynch says, hi James, would you drop Lavia now for your 4.5 million midfielder after his injury despite his performances so far? He's going to be out for too long, mate. Sat for 6 weeks. So, yeah, I wouldn't panic it because you're never starting him anyway. But yeah, move it away, mate, because his value will depreciate. Ian Dennis says, cheers, Spards. Yazid says, first bench Saliba or Neto. Fucking hell. Neto, it's on the bench in dilemmas. P Spots can see a terrible game in Man United Arsenal, probable 1-0 win. Thoughts on benching Gunners? I think people like Saliba and White and stuff are benchable. Otherwise, I'd play them. FF Thinker, Sean Thorpe, Koulibaly to Jesus in Sky seem reasonable tomorrow. Should cover plenty of captaincies. I'm a fan of that move, mate. Bandido says, is Gillette the best a man could get? I suppose so, yeah. Hex says, William, I could do with a shave, couldn't I? Williams or Aronson, question. Williams playing Bournemouth, which have been pretty poor, and Leeds play Brentford away, so I don't know what to do. I think you've already answered your question, mate. I'd play Williams. Andrew Sands says, hi, handsome. You strange man. Spurs added lots of industry in the transfer window, but did they have enough stardust? Ask me again in a couple of months. The answer's probably no. Average Joe says, who to bench out of Gross, Williams, Trippier, Tony, please? God. Williams, then Gross, then I'd play Tony. Rob Pick says, would you start Cucurella or Neto? Good luck, mate. I think you know the answer to that, Rob. It would be play Cucurella. Ashley Wood, captain KDB or Haaland. If you think Haaland starts, Haaland. If you don't, KDB. Yash says, thoughts on Alvarez. Looks a great talent. Richard O'Dwyer says, would you bench Mitrovic for Aronson? No, Mitrovic should play, mate. Right, we've got no info. It's 2 minutes to deadline. Make transfers. Confirm. Done. Reece James in. And I believe that's confirmed. Don't like that he's sitting at left wing back, but I'm not going to fuck about with that at the moment. So, yeah, Reece James is in for Perisic, extremely reluctantly. But that is done. And do you know what? If Perisic starts today and he goes off big, I'll still be happy. Because I love him and I always want to see him play for Spurs. Right, we're going to be not long to deadline, about a minute, guys. Richard O'Dwyer, would you bench Mitrovic for Aronson? I covered that. Elliot Davis, what's the first 3 players you'd put in your wild card? Haaland, KDB, Cancelo. Swizz says, evening, James, I just woke up. Has there been any important last-minute team news I might have missed this morning? Got nothing. Absolutely nothing. Maestri 18. Hi James, thanks for the fantastic content. You're very welcome. Would you trade Gundogan to Zaha, someone else, or play the Pep Roulette? I'll just play it this week. Gareth Pritchard, Nico Williams or Stupinan, just join stream, that's no problem. Gareth, Nico Williams, mate. Jamie Elder, start Perisic or Gabriel. That's a close one. Probably Gabriel. James says start Xhaka, Webster or Andreas. Webster, I think. Luke Curtis, good morning, James. Sky question. Transfer out Rashford and Perisic, 4-5-1 to either 1 Jesus and Romero, Dunk Fofana, or 2 James and Mitro Kamara. I wouldn't say Romero's a certain starter today, mate. There's a lot going on here. No, I'd wait. I think. Yeah, I think the extra information might be more important for you. I'd wait. Andrew Sands says, favourite sandwich filling, James? Sausage, mate. All day. Fucking every day. Harry Robinson says, would you say bench Perisic for JWP? Wolves' shortest team in Prem makes me think JWP. Yeah, I would probably pick Ward-Prowse over him. As far as I'm concerned, guys, the deadline has now passed. I hope your teams are locked in. Mine is with Reece James in place of... who did I sell? Ivan Perisic. Yeah. I was going to send Cucurella an update. Send Cucurella? What the fuck is wrong with me? Let me just send Mark Cucurella a tweet. You playing, mate? You playing? You in the team today, mate? I was going to just send captain the team just in case he happens to be watching, and maybe he can update it if he is, but I don't expect him to. Yes, Reece James is in and signed. Sorry to those whose questions I didn't get to. There were quite a few repetitive ones. If anyone's got any non-FPL questions, Ishmael, I can see your question because it's in capitals, but I still ain't covering it, mate. It's too late. Sorry about that, mate. You could also just look at the screen, couldn't you? Would maybe be helpful. Adam saying Shimikas apparently on media duty. It started. If that's true, then he'll start and Robertson won't. There you go. Thank you, Texvilla. Anyone's got any non-FPL questions, throw them in the chat. Happy to spend a few minutes going through them. Content next week for you. The brilliant Tom Campbell will be standing in for Suj for Monday's podcast reviewing all the Gameweek 6 football. Tuesday is going to be Clash of the Correspondents this week. Why is Clash of the Correspondents going to be Tuesday rather than Thursday? Well, I'll tell you why. Because it's Leicester versus Aston Villa with Aaron Lager and Lee Jackson. And we have to record it on Monday night because we all have personal lives. I'm going to Spurs Wednesday night. Someone else has got something on Tuesday night. So we're recording it on Monday night. And I don't trust that the podcast won't be worthless by the time it gets to Thursday. So Clash of Correspondents will be out on Tuesday. Leicester versus Aston Villa. Wednesday, Sudge returns for Sky Fantasy Football Podcast. Thursday, therefore, will probably be a People's Poll podcast. I haven't given a moment's thought to potential topics, in all honesty. Friday, I will likely do an Ask James stream for you. It is the start of a month, guys. It's the 3rd of September. If you would like to support our content, shit like this is free. If you'd like to give a little bit of thanks or get additional content, come and support the show at www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. Someone asked earlier, how do I access my planner? Well, that's quite easy. You can support the show from basic tier, which will get you access to the brilliant Slack community with over 650 patrons now. It's just a nicer version of Twitter. And we have specific channels for specific teams. That is like chat just on Liverpool, chat just on Tottenham, chat just on Sky Fantasy Football. Brilliant community. I'm so proud of what we've built there. From intermediate tier, you get an additional over 20 podcasts in September, which include 5 every week. There's pods every Monday to Friday. Those pods this week will be Q&A. Lewis Browning is standing in for Sudge on Monday. On Tuesday, delighted to say that Ryan Quinn, James Johnson will be joining me for an in-depth UEFA Champions League fantasy preview. We will have that out really early on Tuesday morning for you. Wednesday will be Tottenham. Sudge will be back for that. Talk a bit about the Planet FPL Derby and whatever our teams do this weekend. Thursday will be a quiz. I haven't decided on the theme yet. And Friday will be, as usual, our Game Week preview, the differential show, which obviously be for Game Week 7 next Friday, which many patrons tell me is their favourite Planet FPL podcast of the week, even more so than the Game Week review pod. So if you'd like to support the show, you can do. And there's advanced tier content as well, additional video content every day. There's also 5 minutes added on every weekday from advanced tier as well, which it also includes every day before a deadline, the team news stream as well, where I go through all the predicted lineups and all the team news for all 20 teams. If you want to support the content, now's a good time. It's the start of a new month. If you don't want to, don't. I still love you just the same. But yeah, help me, because my son's still in nappies, but he did a poo in a potty today. So I might be saving some money. Maybe I don't need Patreon anymore. No, we'd love to have your support. Do it for the extra content, or do it for support of the show. Don't do it because you think you're going to become a better FPL manager. The community might help you. Me and Sudge won't. Right, let's do cues that are coming in. Louis Patel says favourite non-alcoholic drink. Coke, but I've really got to cut sugar out of completely. I was going to say it's killing me. There's an exaggeration. Me and sugar are just really not getting on anymore. Anything dairy, we're not getting on anymore. I need to cut it out. But yeah, an occasional Coke would be the favourite non-alcoholic drink. To be honest, 90% of what I drink, as I'm drinking now, is water. Dave Powell says, I hope the transfer works. I have just done the same one. Good luck. I hope it doesn't. I hope that Perisic comes on as sub and scores twice, and I hope Chelsea lose. And this is where I'm different to most other content creators. Pushcar says, hi James, caught the stream late. Shifo says, if you can combine 2 players to form your perfect classic number 9, who would they be? Mine would be Shearer and Miroslav Klose. Can we just clone Haaland? Classic number 9. It's interpretation. Can we put someone like Henry in now? I mean, do we put Kane in now? I think the combination, you're right, would be someone like Shearer with someone who had electric pace. So Shearer had electric pace when he was young. People forget about that. But then obviously he changed his game, became more physical after the injuries and stuff. So would you want... mean, you could make a case for the quick Shearer or the physical Shearer, to be honest. Do you know what? I'm going to say that. Young Alan Shearer with old Alan Shearer. Alexandro Pickering says, hi James, would you rather be a giraffe with a neck problem? Wow. Or a hippo with an allergy to mud? Great insight. Cheers. Crap. Ugh. I mean, how are we define the neck problem here? Can you eat? What do you do? I'd probably take the hippo. Pete Haley says, hi mate, Brentford had a collaboration with People Just Do Nothing, a TV show, and released a t-shirt to mark the occasion. Can you think of any other collaborations and weird merch over the years? Yeah, anything involving an NFT seems pretty fucking weird to me. That's good. That's good. Tottenham have done various stuff with various celebrities and stuff, and you think, what are you doing? I think all the clubs do it. I just tend to let it pass me by. Ishmael's saying, sorry, I don't know what for, but don't worry about it, mate. John J says, cheers, mate. Love you. Dominic Hamilton says, Salah and Dallo or TAA and Diaz. Dominic, I'm going to say to you, deadline's gone, mate. Ian Parent says, hi, James. Love your chat with Luke on Wednesday. He was great, wasn't he? I mean, I knew he would be. Always good to hear Sky managers who know what they're on about having a chat. You saying me and Suj don't, mate? What are you trying to say? Haaland captain today for you. No, I'm going Salah, mate. If Salah's in the team, I'm going to go Salah, mate. I still don't think Haaland starts. But I realise I'm in the minority. So I'm going to go with Mo. I think it's close enough as well that if I see Mo's in the team, I'm just going with that, mate. Ben Tomo Thompson says, will Sheffield United win the championship? No, mate. No. I know you want to be on correspondent week and Clash of Correspondents next year, but it's like 6-7 games gone, mate. Chill. Do the business. You've got every chance, mate. You've started very well, obviously, and I'm pleased to see it. Atul Balaji says, hey, James, who is the most deluded correspondent? Tomo. Don't cop out by saying no one. Love you, James. Tomo. Who's the most deluded correspondent? Oh, don't cop out. All right. But, don't treat this as if they don't know what they're talking about. Tom's got to be in consideration, isn't he? Tom Med. Just for his sheer love for Brentford. But I absolutely adore and love him for it. Andy's got to be in consideration, isn't he, for some of his Leeds stuff. Although his Leeds takes are far more sensible than his some of his other takes, in all fairness. Oh, gosh. Yeah, it's probably between Tom and Andy, I think. Or Lee Jackson's worth a shout as well. Lee has moments. Lee says some mad things on Twitter, but when he comes on the pod, he's always bats it really straight. Fair game to him. I'm gonna say it's between them. I'm gonna say Tom, and I know he won't take that personally either. So I'm gonna say Tom Med, Brentford, because I just love his positivity. He's so on it all the time. Pushkar says, James, can you tell us how much does an average away UEFA Champions League trip cost, say somewhere in France, Germany, Italy? I'm from a non-European country. How does the process look? It's very difficult to put a ballpark on that because, take for example, if I went to Dortmund again, I'd probably do it by train. If I went to Munich, I'd fly, which is what I did on those occasions that I've been there to watch Spurs. So the answer to your question is too much. Is the answer. But some things in life have to be done. And I think like the reason sporting for me was getting to the stage where it was becoming, 350, 400 quid each for flights and stuff. People DM me with flights going, James, I found a flight for you. It's like, 150 quid. Yeah, it arrives after kickoff. Thanks for that. That to do it in terms of like where you can, because the thing is as well, like Dad was looking at a flight as well that took off like 3.5 hours before kickoff, so you'd make it in time. Sod that. What if the flight's delayed? What are you gonna do? What happens if they say, "Oh, flight's delayed an hour"? Fucking hell. Joke. What am I doing? Getting to Portugal and watching the game on my phone. So I mean, it has to be feasible. You want to kind of enjoy it as well. You have to factor in the cost of the day. If I'd have gone to Lisbon, I'd have wanted to go and look at Benfica Stadium as well and stuff. You got to find somewhere to stay. There's another 3,000 people going over it, also looking for somewhere to stay. So pricing goes up. you pay a lot more for a top tier one than, at Sporting Lisbon. I would love to have gone, but I think it gets to a point you go, I can't justify this. Particularly as well, even more so for me now, where because of the sheer excess of content that I do, it's going to fuck that up. So I lose 2 days essentially. So you lose the whole of the Tuesday if I went to Sporting. Let's say get back afternoon Wednesday. After that, do you want to start recording? Not really. So what am I doing? Am I pushing 3 days worth of content into recording on a Monday? And then she'd be going, "You fucking off tomorrow? What are you recording all night for?" You have to think about these things. And I would not. People are saying, "Go for 4 days." I'd be away from my son for 4 days. If it's a Champions League final and I have to go to Istanbul for a week, then fine, I'm going to go for a week. And there's every chance that will be what it will be if we got to the final, by the way. But no, there isn't a set price, mate. There isn't. Because you go to, if we got PSG, train and hotel, it's it, isn't it, really? It's easier. I would rather go, I always want to go to the ones with trains. You can go train. And ironically, Frankfurt could do by train. Really, really could do. But I wasn't keen on going there. Marseille's not viable for that. Lisbon's not viable for that. The airlines just absolutely kill you as soon as the fixtures are out. So I think when we went to Milan in 2010, when Bale got a hat-trick, I think we paid then about 250 quid return for the flights. That was 12 years ago. Lisbon was getting, towards 100, 150 more than that. And San Siro, when we got there, remember it was the first time I was in, was like, I'll pay anything, I'm going. 100% I'm going, I'll pay anything. So more expensive now. Yeah, life's a bit different now with a little one, right? I've got to really, really want to go, and it's got to be cost effective, and things have got to work. And I did want to go, but yeah, I'm fucking waffling now. Andy Ken says, Suj has nearly as many holidays as me. T has more, mate. TJ Powell says, hey, James, what's your top 3 football stadium food you've had? Sausage roll at Leicester. I'm gonna just go for in stadium here. Sausage roll at Leicester. Sausage roll at Brentford was decent. Most burgers in stadiums are shit. Properly shit. I'm gonna put Tottenham third. There's a few things you can add. Tottenham's sausage roll's okay as well. Got so many options on the South Stand, chicken and chips and shit like that. So I'll put Tottenham third. Chris Bradley says, probably been asked this before, but have you ever sat in the home end watching Spurs play away? Yeah, not for a very, very long time. I sat in the home end at West Ham, believe it or not. And there was plenty of Tottenham doing similar back in 1991. Sat on the side at Upton Park. That's the one real memory. And I think part of that back in the day was it was only terracing. You could go in the seats. It was like a mixed zone or something. I can't remember. It's fucking 30 years ago. Obviously, Dad took me and stuff. And I remember feeling pretty uncomfortable about it at the time. And we lost. Wasn't fun. It's not something I'd ever want to do again. There's certain places I think I'd chance, like Bournemouth away, for example. If someone could get me a ticket in a home end at Bournemouth, I'd take it, I think. I've got not many. It's just not worth it. And even then, I still can't enjoy it. I want to shout goal when we score. Ishmael says, what's your favourite series to watch? Unfortunately, and it's free choice, I don't get to watch a lot of series on TV. There is literally nothing that I watch religiously. There's nothing. Nothing is... The only thing I record on the planner is Match of the Day. Or football. There's nothing else I record. I'm going to say I really enjoyed Dexter a lot. The first few series. It was a big X-Files nut back in the day in the 90s. It looks very dated when you see it back now, but I loved it at the time. I'm going to say them too. Jeff Holt says, if Andy is the king, you are heir apparent. If only you had hair. Best wishes as always, James. I mean, Andy's not blessed with a huge amount of hair either, is he? Bless him. No, and Andy's rightfully the king. P. Macker says, pineapple on a pizza, yes or no? Look, it's fine. It's reasonable. Would I choose to do it? No, I absolutely fucking wouldn't, to be honest. Meninda says, was liking look of McAllister tomorrow for Sky, but Gilmore signing worries me. You going for any Brighton tomorrow? I see. Look, Captain updated the graphic as well. Bless you, mate. Cheers, Cap. You're a hero. What a good guy. It really annoys me seeing James at wing back there. I really, really dislike it. I would have shoved that all across and have James at right wing back and shove everyone else towards the left. Would be to the right as you see it. But yeah, you can see my team on screen now. No intention for Brighton tomorrow, to be totally honest. No. It's not an agenda for me at the moment. But should I pick up an injury today? Possibly are. Dan Kerwin says, any thoughts on Tielemans for Sky now that the distraction of the window is gone? Could be captain tomorrow versus Forest. Just really not keen on them at the moment, to be honest. Really not keen. Dan, the Forest game's a Monday as well anyway, isn't it? So you can come back to it, I think. I'm sure that's a Monday. It's got to be a Monday. Yeah, that's game week 9. So there's no Friday game that week. It's Monday. Buy it on the Monday if you want. Rush in for Brighton, Villa, Tottenham. Project doesn't know what he's doing at the moment. Dan Cranstone says, which is the more iconic title winning moment? Aguero title winning goal in 2012 or Michael Thomas? Ooh. I mean, I don't remember the Michael Thomas moment. I mean, I've obviously seen it plenty of times. It's arguably that, isn't it? I don't know. My bias of Spurs obviously wants to say Aguero. But I think if Michael Thomas happened now, I'm just trying to visualise that. Let's say Liverpool were at City last day and, I don't know, Jordan Henderson goes through to score in the 90th minute to put Liverpool 2-0 up and win the league by 1 goal. It's that, isn't it? I think so. It probably is Michael Thomas. But the Aguero moment obviously has the added on in the fact that they were losing with no time to go. Dan Morris says Robertson benched apparently. Not hugely shocked. His value's going to take a whack this week, which I could have done without. But it is what it is. Pushkar says, if you were a player, what would you choose? Stay at a mid-small Premier League club as a talisman, Zaha, Vardy, and get all attention, or jump ship to a Premier League UCL contending team for the vibes? It depends on a lot of factors, right? There's things that we don't consider, like living. So take Wilfried Zaha. I know he went to obviously Manchester United before and it didn't work out. Maybe really would want to stay in London, rather than go and play for Liverpool, for example. Who knows? I'm sure if the opportunity came, he'd go and make the move. I think that's an interesting one. With Vardy, obviously had the opportunity to go to Arsenal after they won the title, but other than that, there's not been a lot of opportunities. And with Zaha, I think Zaha, whatever Palace fans think, Zaha would have jumped so many times. I think that's pretty clear, but nobody ever really came up with the money for him. So it's not always about choice. You have to factor in family, living. There's loads of things. I don't think it's straightforward. So, I mean, if I was at Tottenham and Man City wanted to buy me, would I go? No. If I was at Palace and Man City wanted to buy me, would I go? Probably, yeah. I think you would. I think in most cases you would, unless you were really looking at it and thinking, there's no way I'd get in the team or something like that. I think in most cases you would go. Money's going to be better. Idea of winning trophies. Unfortunately, it's the way the game is. And all respect to people like Vardy who have stayed at Leicester and stuff. But again, I don't think there's been a huge amount of opportunities for him. And to be honest, there's been none for Zaha. As far as I'm aware, there's never been a fee agreed for Wilfried Zaha. Pete Haley says, one more, if Spurs won the league but you had to wear an Arsenal shirt to every game, would you? If Spurs won the league but had to wear an Arsenal shirt to every game, would you? Yeah. Just wear something over top. I'd paint on it. Destroy it. Cut it up. Cut out the badge. colour it in, paint it, dye it, whatever. Yeah, fuck it. Andy Kent says, water equals H2O. Hydrate to operate. Cheers, mate. Forever QPR Sweet says, hi, James. I assume you have visited Loftus Road a few times. What do you think of the old stadium? Yes. Shithole. They're very handicapped because of all the housing around the stadium. There's literally nothing they can do with it. It's too close to the pitch and stuff. You can be too close. Where like even in the top tier behind the goal, it can be a fight to see the goal line. It's not great. It's not great. And I mean fight to see the goal line because you need to peer over to see it rather than actually a human being being in your way. It's not great. QPR, as or when they get up, will have to do something with their stadium. And I think for the football club, it should be a priority in any case to be. And I know it's been in discussion for a really, really long time, but it should be a priority to find some land, get it done, get a stadium built. Because there's nothing they can do with Loftus Road. Carl Miller says, what number did you wear on sports jerseys growing up and why? Number 4. I always felt that was the right number for holding midfield players, and that's what I was. Carl Miller says, and what Spurs players do you think will be in the England final team for the World Cup? As in the starting 11, Kane. That'd be it, wouldn't it? If England are going to play back 3, Dyer has to be in the squad. He has to be. If Southgate wants to go back 4, okay, there's a debate. But for me, if it's back 3, Eric Dyer has to be in the squad. My opinion would be at the moment it should be close to starting. I would like to see John Stones tried as left-sided centre-back with Walker or James at right-sided centre-back. It's probably Walker at the moment with Dyer in the middle of that. I would like to see that's tried. I think Eric Dyer has to be in the England squad. I think Sessegnon, I did a little short audio for advanced tier patrons the other day on 5 Minutes Added On about England's left-back problem. And spoke about Ryan Sessegnon and Rico Henry having a real outside chance of getting in. I should have added Cole Walker-Peters' name to that as well, and arguably James Justin as well, but they have been in squads. Sessegnon and Rico Henry haven't. If something happens to Perisic and Sessegnon gets a real run of games, I think he'll go to the World Cup. Otherwise, probably not. Chilwell, we badly need Chilwell to get himself in a good condition, I think. Luke Shaw's just not at it at the moment. Truthfully, he's not been at it since the Euros, despite having an outstanding tournament for England. Anyone else from Spurs? Too late for Oliver Skip in terms of a call up. Maybe if it was next summer, he would maybe have a chance. No, that's it, isn't it? Just Kane, Dyer. Am I missing something? Can't think I'm missing anything, am I? No. Kane, Dyer. Sessional's got a small chance. Meninda says, do you ever use insights from Sky FPL for a bet? Prices for players facing Zaha for tackles are often wrong, and prices on niche trends like Wolves draw, half-time consistency wrong. I very rarely have a bet anymore. I've not got proper time to be looking at that sort of thing, mate. Laser79 says, hi James, what's your favourite away stadium and why? Up the Saints. I think I've had this a few times and I've said Villa. I like Villa Park. The tickets come this morning for Man City. Lower tier, which I'm a bit disappointed at. But at least it's not right down the front. But I've got tickets. Yeah, I should have said. Obviously, deadline stream. I'll tell you what's happening next week. So, basically, the Manchester to London line is absolutely fucked at the moment. Where they're reducing trains to 1 an hour. Now, at the moment, my train back is on. And there's only one train back after the game. So at the moment, that's on. So I'm still going. And we've got a hotel booked, which we can cancel in case it's off. And then I come back the next day. The train out is cancelled. Now, I can get a train later or earlier. So the train was meant to be at 12:40. So the idea was to do the deadline stream, cut it off. I'm hoping we'll be able to get the 12:20. Which should give me enough time to shut this down at 11 o'clock next Saturday and go, that's it, I'm off, I'm going. But if we have to drive, if that evening and we decide, Nigel, we're going to drive on the day, then there won't be a deadline stream next week. I think at the moment I should be able to do it. I won't be able to do the Q&A afterwards, unfortunately. Atul Blajisal was thinking Tom too, but love his enthusiasm. Second question, seriously, why can't we Wolves score? I cannot figure out what's the issue. Those players are way too good to be in this situation. You ain't got a natural goal scorer, mate. Simple as that. Maybe the new lad Kalidzic will be it. Eric Nilsson says, brought in Che Adams, thoughts on him for a punt? I think you've done it and the deadline's gone. I don't really care, but I wish you luck. There were worse punts you could have taken. I bet he gets rotated in one of these next games and you won't be expecting it. Tim Cressler says, thoughts on Conte's comments about Spence in the transfer window yesterday. Seems to have been blown out of proportion on the Bird app. Yeah, it will be, unfortunately. I think he should stop talking about Jed Spence, though. But yes, it has been blown out a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. Tim says, have you ever been caught up in any trouble with rival fans at a game? No. Seen shit, I would get away from it. And Shifa says, apparently Artur Melonis is on the bench. The lack of consistency for clubs getting international clearance is mad. Oh, you mean Artur Melo? Yeah, but I think he got it, didn't he? So, yeah, look, whatever. Unfortunately, the idiots in this country voted for Brexit, didn't they? So, shit is gonna be random, unfortunately. Right, that's all. Enjoy your weekend. I've got nothing else to promote or say, basically. Me and Tom Campbell will be back on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Remember to be nice to each other. If you haven't already, smash a like, hit the sub button. Deadline stream should be, no promises, but should be same time next week. Have a great weekend, everyone. Ciao for now.